How's everybody doing out there tonight? Anthony Miller, how you doing, buddy? Tyler, glad you guys are doing all right. Had a few people jump on here tonight. Hope everybody's doing good, staying cool, man. I don't know what it's like where you guys are at, but it is smoking here. I just came downstairs here and it was 98 degrees at 7 o'clock Illinois time. Wow. Got a little double header here tonight on this show. Mark Coleman. You're at the Minnesota. You're in Minnesota at the Mall of America on a business trip. Have a great show, man. You're all over the place just like me, buddy. Chris Ashley, good to see you on here, man. Get all this stuff rocking here, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time, like always. Tonight's actually a pretty easy one to talk about tonight. Hopefully you guys got some good questions because there ain't much to talk about with the two topics I got picked here, but they're pretty important topics. Brandon, good to see you on here, bud. Guess I'll kind of get started with, I actually owe you guys an apology. You know, here a few weeks back, at the last minute, I had to cancel the live. And you know me, I tell everybody everything. I don't hold nothing back. Not ashamed at it at all. Had a dental appointment that day, and come to find out, I did not realize they were going to pull 21 teeth, and they did, and it put me into some pain that there was no way I was doing a podcast. So for the ones that don't know, I've been having a lot of procedures done on my mouth and my teeth due to the lupus I have, and I'm getting to where I can talk better now, but I'm still slurring quite a bit here and there. But it's getting better every day. I'm doing good. I'm glad I got it done. It's just going to be the next 4 months of hell, except for deer season. I won't even be thinking about it during deer season because I'll be hunting. So get through these next 4 months, get everything situated the way it needs to be, and I'll be back doing good, and I don't have to worry about anything that the lupus is causing. So it'll be all gone. So glad to get it over with, but I apologize having to cancel then. We were going to do the show that next week. I was up and I was talking pretty good. I wanted to do it, and I get on here and Restream, which is the place we use to do these live videos. They had blocked for some reason 2 of our channels, and we couldn't get it unblocked that night. We had to wait till our marketing group got into the office the next morning. Worked on it part of the day and finally got it figured out. Now we're good to go. We shouldn't have this. And if we do have it, we're going to know what to do from now on. There was just something 8 o'clock at night, nobody in the marketing department, had to call them at home, just could not get it figured out. So I apologize. That's why we're at a 2-part show tonight. Andy, good to see you on here, all the way from Michigan. All right, let's make sure I'm not missing somebody here. We're going to get fired up here on what we're going to do. I've had some pro staffers call me tonight that can't join on here. A lot of times they join on here. I have one on here. Chris Ashley's on here. Brand new pro staffer to Antler King. Chris he's got a lot of knowledge from food plot stuff like that. So A lot of these pro staffers get on here, answer questions while people are typing them while I'm talking about something else. I'm always running at the mouth about something. So if I don't get to it, they usually do that. I'll still have a few probably jump on tonight. But one of the main things right now I really want to talk about is different seeds you can plant at different times. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but I wanted to bring this up just because it's a topic we're talking about tonight. With us at Antler King, we have two different mixes that you can actually plant a month and a half later than your normal fall plantings. And when I mean your normal fall plantings, I'm talking about your brassica, stuff like that. Everybody's getting into the brassicas, but when you get into, like this year, we've had such a drought. A lot of places are getting a lot of rain. I'm still going back into the drought now. I had a rain for about 2 to 3 weeks. Got planted. Now I'm not getting nothing. It's drying back up. Soil's cracking, inch thick. I mean, that's ridiculous. So with that, I kind of look at, I want something that I can actually plant later that's still going to get good growth. It's going to get a good germination rate at a lesser time period. The number one product we have for that, and when I say number one, these two products, neither one's better than the other one. Both of them are going to do the exact same thing. They're just going to offer different feed. So when it comes to the best thing that you can actually plant, in my opinion, with Antler King, if you're looking to plant something later in the fall because of a drought or something like that, or you just work heavy busy, you couldn't get in there in August and get them planted, or you guys up north in July, stuff like that. The number one thing I like to plant is our fall, winter, spring. Fall, winter, spring is one of my favorite products. And this fall, winter, spring is actually going to have your cereal rye in it, that the cereal rye is going to come back the following spring, give you about 30% protein. It's going to grow good till about early summer, and then it's going to die off on its own. So you're going to get a lot of forage there. It's going to continue growing as the deer eat it through the hunting season. So it's going to continue growing. You're always going to have food there. It does have the tubular radishes, the buckwheat mixed in with it, and some winter peas. This one here can be planted that month or so, month and a half later than your normal brassica planting. Now the next one is our lights out. Lights out is our forage oat and turnip. So a lot of people are thinking, man, you got turnips in there, that's a brassica. Well, when you're looking at something to plant later, when you're planting this late, you're going to have an awesome success with the lights out. Now the turnips, you're going to have the greens. You're not going to have the bulbs because you're planting them too late, but you'll still have a lot of forage with the greens. So this is another one that is very, very good to get in there. Like for me, I'm planting it all the way up to mid to the third weekend of September, and my season opens October 1st. I planted it actually the 3rd of October one year because of a drought. Now, do I have growth this big? No. But I got a good steady growth with the fall, winter, spring, and the lights out, even planting it that late. Where you get in with your brassicas, you're not going to get the bulbs or nothing like that you want out of them. You're going to get the greens. So just think that with this, you're going to get, excuse me, you're going to get a good food source. You might not get the bulbs out of it that you want, but you're going to get all that high energy food source in them brassica leaves with them turnips, or even with the fall, winter, spring with the radishes. You're going to get all that high energy food. So the deer are going to love it, very digestible. So that's just something that you really want to look for when it comes to planting something later than normal. Don't go out there and plant your old trusty a month and a half too late. You don't want to do that because you'll never get the growth out of it you want. You want to pick the right ones. That lights out right there is a mix that you can just throw out there, get it planted, and if you get some moisture, within 4 to 5 days, you can have 3 to 4 inches of growth. I mean, it grows very, very fast. Another one we have, it's a new one, which is our Southern Greens. The Southern Greens truthfully, you can actually plant it later too. We don't recommend it, but if it's something you wanted something a little different, you can plant it too. But the bad thing about the southern greens is with the collard greens that are in it, the deer are going to start nipping them off as soon as they start growing. Now the radish that's in it, they're going to let them kind of come up and mature out some. Like again, you're not going to get the bulb out of them that late, the tubular, but you'll get the greens where the collard greens in that they're going to be hitting it pretty right as soon as it's growing, as soon as same as they're going to get into that winter wheat, the oats and everything out of it. But no, there were just two great mixes there. Uh, I get guys calling all the time with our honey hole. They're wanting to plant honey hole now up north. It's just way too late. You'll have some greens come up, but your forage just is not going to be there. It's not going to be as sweet as it should be, uh, like using one of these other two mixes. See what here, if I got anything here, guys. Jeff Johnson, you're talking about it's your favorite go-to mix. Now, which one? Lights out or fall, winter, spring? Roger Neal, I wish you wasn't working either, bud. But no, if I had one to pick just for myself here in central Illinois where I'm at, I'm going to go with fall, winter, spring. Fall, winter, spring is my favorite. Uh, Even for a normal planting Nebraska's, like here, I'm planting the August 1st, the 15th. I mean, I'm going to plant my fall, winter, spring there. But if I really want the good out of it, I'm always going to step it back and wait just a little bit later just because of the cereal rye and stuff that's in it. I don't want that cereal rye heading out. Anthony, you're asking how deep you got to plant it to. Here's the thing about both these mixes. You definitely want to collar pack them in or lightly drag them. And the only reason with the lights out, you got your oats in there. The fall, winter, spring, you have the peas and the cereal rye. If it wasn't for them three right there, you could do it just like a throw and grow type mix, like what we call no-till. But with them three, they will germinate and grow by doing it that way. Work up the soil, broadcast them, let Mother Nature set them with some rain. They'll work perfect, except for them bigger seeds. You got turkeys on the property, you got blackbirds on the property, they're going to nail every single one of them in that plot. So getting some soil over them is going to help a lot. And Cody Jarrett. I was wondering if you were still in the tractor from talking to you earlier, bud. You're getting your lights out in right now. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you found somebody like me to listen to while you're out there farming away. You probably got the door shut, air conditioner on, kick back, short sleeve shirt, and your underwear. I can see how you are. Mike Day, yeah, absolutely, man. You love Honey Hole. Honey Hole is our number one selling mix 31 years running. It's 31 years old this coming year. You just can't beat it. You cannot beat Honey Hole, especially for a late season food source. I mean, that's one of our flagship products there that is just, it's unbeatable. I don't care what it is, what company it is, or any of our other products that we have. You cannot beat Honey Hole as an annual, and you cannot beat Trophy Clover as a perennial. Anthony, anytime, bud. Jeff Johnson, you're talking about the fall, winter, spring is one of your favorites. Exactly. That fall, winter, spring and lights out. They're just two very, very good products. The fall, winter, spring is kind of funny and I should have loaded the video up on here. Todd Silberg, the founder of Antler King, made a video for me one time, and I have it saved on my laptop here, that discusses how you judge a bag of seed by the percentages of what's in it. And by doing that, a lot of people will grab our lights out and they go, man, this is nothing but a bag of oats. Because the percentage of brassica, the the turnip that's in it is so small. But when you calculate it out by the pound and the number of seeds per pound difference, there is almost more brassicas in there than there is oats. And I need to actually, I'll throw that up on social media one of these days. It's a very good watch video. It tells you exactly how to calculate them out. And it's something that you could have on your phone. You can go to a store and you can look at the back of the bag and you can calculate it right out on your smartphone. And you'll see exactly how many seeds of each are in them bags. Very, very educational. I flunked math 12 years in a row. So I'm not very good at math, but I take his video and I can learn off of it. So absolutely, Mike, your deer are crushing the honey hole all winter long. They will destroy that honey hole. When I'm doing seminars at shows, one of my slides is a honey hole plot that it's actually in January. It's a trail cam picture, and you get stamped right on there, the date and everything. And there's a half a dozen Pope and Young, couple booners out there, whole bunch of does, and all it is the stems from the honey hole, and they're up about yay high. And it's just because the deer have completely wiped them out, ate every single leaf off of them during that cold weather. You can tell it's cold, brutal. I think in the picture it's like 8 degrees. And the deer just hammer them. And then they go into digging them turnips up. So it's a great, great, great one. Let's see what we got here before we get into our next topic. Brian Murray, when's the best time to plant barricade? I know it's too late in the southern mid Michigan this year. What you're looking at, Brian, barricade is kind of deceiving if you look at our website, because certain areas you can plant it later. But I try to tell everybody. Now, I don't know what you have in train around your area, but like in my area, when I see the farmers planting soybeans, that's when barricade's getting planted. You never want to plant barricade until your ground temp is at a constant 60 degrees or higher. As soon as that ground temp hits 60 degrees or higher, get it in the ground. That's going to be your best luck right there. So, and usually most places over the Midwest, the farmers are planting beans, the ground temp 60 plus. So that's the best time to do it. And I'll tell you what, with that barricade, I've got a lot of calls from it this year, and it's funny. I'll get calls about barricade, and I know we're getting off topic here, and people tell me they're not happy with it. It ain't growing. It's only grown 2 foot tall. And then I'll have a whole bunch of other ones call in. This is the best year I ever had for barricade in my life. It's 10 foot tall. It's 12 foot tall. I'm not doing nothing different than last year. The same fertilizer, but it's just going crazy. Now, mine personally this year, because of the drought, my barricade's only 5 or 6 foot tall because I went through a 3-month drought with not 1/10 of an inch of rain. Now it's trying to catch up, and it hit that 8 foot before October hits. It's growing pretty good now. I fertilized it since we had that little bit of rain, but now we're back in a dry spell, so we'll see what happens. But 15 miles down the road, my buddy Timmy Lambert, his is over 10 foot tall. I just talked to a buddy of mine in Southern Illinois this week that's got a lot of rain. His is 12 foot tall. I talked to a guy on the phone today that he can't get his over 2 foot tall. It's just really, really odd on what's going on there. And I really wish I could figure it out, because even the guys that are telling me that it's not growing very well, it seems like they're doing everything right. So I'm gonna do some checking, figuring out with that sorghum and the varieties that we use in there, if there's something to do with different soils, see what we can figure out. Because we tested in all different soils years ago, or not years ago, but 4 or 5 years ago when we brought it out. We tested it for years before that. Sandy soil, everything, and had good luck. But this year it just seems like something's going on there. Now, I will tell you one thing that will hurt it bad is 2,4-D. Do not spray 2,4-D to kill that area off before you plant that. The residual will stay there, and it will stun that and kill that seed. It will not let it grow. So that is one thing I do know that some people have done. And and that's a telltale sign that it's not going to grow. So, and that goes with your plots and everything. You never want to do that. Andy, is it too late for honey hole? Deer turn up here. Oh, it's out. Andy, I know you might have said on here earlier, where are you from, bud? I didn't know if I caught that on here or not. Actually, Andy, I just read the rest of this. You said the plot's been underwater for 3 weeks. So you're going to have a lot of moisture on there. And brassicas don't like a whole lot of moisture. They grow good in it, but if you get too much moisture and it stays there, they could rot the bulbs. I would definitely look at going towards more of the, if you just want to throw something out there to get it going and growing good, and if you get some more water on it, it might be okay. That would be the fall, winter, spring. I'd go with fall, winter, spring with that cereal rye. Because if you get very much more moisture in there while them plants are growing, you will rot the bulbs. My brother from Iowa was on here, old Keaton. Man, it was good talking to you yesterday, bud. I think it was yesterday. Heck, it's just too busy, but I think it was yesterday. Keaton, you're talking about turnips. In your area where you're at right now, bud, you need to get them in ASAP if you haven't already got them in Iowa. Usually by Labor Day, I will not plant turnips after Labor Day if I'm wanting the bulbs. If you're wanting the bulbs, get them in earlier. If you just want a lot of good green, high energy, then the turnips are great. You're going to have that high energy and all them great big leafy plants. So you got some time to get them in if you're not caring about the bulbs. But if you want the bulbs, you better get them planted ASAP. They probably won't get as big as what you really like to have, but you'll have something in your area. If you was farther north, I'd tell you not to do it at all. Chris Ashley, what fertilizer blend do you use on your barricade, and when did you apply it? Chris, I don't know if you're asking me for mine or you're asking the other guy for his. I don't know which one you're asking here, but fertilizer, I'm running triple 19. I'll use urea if I'm getting plenty moisture. I pour the nitrogen to my brassicas. Between it and the jolt, usually what I'll do, I'll run about a ratio of 300 pounds per acre. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not running acreages of the barricade. So usually that one bag's going to do a quarter acre. I'm usually running anywhere from 75 to 80 pounds per quarter. And I'll run that in triple 19, and then I'll substitute some jolt fertilizer in it. I'll actually turn my spray boom on my sprayer on my ATV sideways where to fan out, and then I'll just go and coat it, and it'll blow up over it too. So I pour a lot of jolt to it too. Andy, yes, being in Michigan, I would definitely go with the fall, winter, spring this time of year. You're very welcome, bud. Oh, Scuba Steve's on here. How you doing, Bubba? Another good old pro staffer on here. You're welcome, Chris. All right, let's get to this next part here real quick. Let's talk about maintaining some plots, your annual plots that you're planting in the fall. A lot of people think there's no maintenance on them, and there's not a lot, but there can be more than what you think. Again, with me being so anal about my plots, and with army worms taking over a few years and wiping out plots, I am very, very anal about my annual plots when it comes to insecticides. So most people call me, they want to know what herbicides they can spray on their plots to kill weeds and grasses. Grasses, no problem. Weed control, there's your problem. The good thing about a lot of these brassicas and stuff like that, they will actually grow up quick enough that they'll smother out the weeds. Grasses, The old trusty, I'll show you here. Um, it's this old trusty clethodim. You know, long as you're using a product that don't have any grass in it, that clethodim right there will kill every grass out of it. So that's a very good one. When I'm spraying my clethodim, you know, another good thing there is our Jolt, the Jolt fertilizer on the manual plots. That's our nitrogen-based fertilizer. I'm running the Jolt right there with it. I'm mixing it right in with the clethodim. I'm actually feeding the plants as I'm killing the grass off at the same time. So I'm doing a one-pass application. Now, with me, and when I'm not spraying a herbicide, with that Jolt, I will actually mix in my trusty insecticide to get in there and kill all the critters that I don't want in that are eating, from the beetles to the beetles, get the ants out of it, the army worms, stuff like that. I will actually mix the Jolt right in with our not our insecticide, it's insecticide here is what I use solely just because I've had the best luck with it and it's the cheapest thing you can buy in the world. That little concentrate bottle right there will last me all year long, and it's $10. And it will really, really take care of a food plot, and it don't take much of it to do it. So I'll mix it right with my Jolt. Again, kill the bugs out of it. Yeah, and I'll also fertilize with the Jolt at the same time. Now with this insecticide, the good thing about it is it lasts for about 3 months. But anytime I'm spraying Jolt, I'm putting the insecticide on. I don't care if it's going to last and have a residual layer that's going to keep the bugs off. I'm going to make sure they're going to stay off, and I will keep spraying it. Now, after my plots get up so tall, where I don't want to ride the ATV or the tractor through it, I mean, that's where my backpack sprayer comes in. If I start seeing some bugs or something in there, I'll take my backpack sprayer and I'll walk through the plots and hit the areas, or just put a fine mist over the whole thing, so I'm not crushing my plants as I'm trying to drive with the tractor or something through there. So, but them are three good products: the clethodim, the Jolt, and the insecticide. You can't beat them. Now, for you guys using our no sweat, the no-till mix, you do not want to spray the clethodim on it because it does have the ryegrass in it. I know a lot of people, I said ryegrass, and that's a bad word for a lot of people. But for them people, they don't realize how high in protein it is in its growing state and how the deer love it, and it's very digestible. But it will kill that ryegrass in it. You don't want to do that. But any of our other stuff here, you're good to go, as in the annuals. Sorry, guys, this stuff going on my mouth has me thirsty like crazy, especially when I'm talking a lot. Scuba? That has to be a joke. You saying you wish it'd warm up. There's only 110 here today. With no rain, I can only imagine that honey hole I got sprouted about that tall right now is going to be brown as a gourd and laying over dead, and I'll be spraying some, yeah. I'll be spreading some fall, winter, spring over before you know it. Old Cole's on here from Illinois Deer and Beer Fest. Hey, any of you guys around the Illinois area, especially Bloomington, Illinois, my buddy Cole from Hunter's Haven puts on a awesome deer show. If you went to any of the, like the Illinois Deer Classic, stuff like that, this show's a good one, bud. It's better. You want to go to his stuff. It's all hunting. You're not going to have any kind of garage sale, flea market. Stacy's not going to be able to buy purses like she did at the last one we were just at. They're not giving massages around the corner. This is deer hunting. It's hunting related. Let's just put hunting, not deer hunting. Hunting related. And the stuff that he has there, him and his partner, you cannot beat the deals on their booths alone. They have their own stuff there too. The door giveaways is unbelievable. I think my buddy last year won like 2 bows and a crossbow from a door prizes. I mean, it was crazy. And we're going to have a lot of product there, a lot of giveaways, stuff like that. Cole treats us right on all this stuff. Real good friend. We go back a long ways. For years, I bought bows. I was always a PSC guy. His dad's the one that got me shooting PSC. I shot PSC for years. I bought a lot of bows off him, a lot of bows off Cole, crossbows, the whole 9 yards now. So, but Bloomington, this coming weekend, you cannot beat it. Look up the Illinois Deer and Beer Fest. Sound like a commercial now. Hey, I should get paid for that, Cole. Come on. Old Scuba. Using Joel on your tomatoes and green beans, man, I'll tell you what, people would be blown away if they knew how many people that actually call in the Antler King and it comes to me asking if they can spray our liquid products on their gardens and their yard. It's every day. That Jolt fertilizer is amazing. Get it on your chestnut trees. Spray that root system around. I mean, your oaks out in the woods. It'll make them sweeter. It's amazing. Jeff Johnson, you couldn't talk your wife into putting on her tomatoes. Come on. You should have went out there and sprayed part of them and not told her and let her see the difference. John, have you had any luck with doing a no-till with crimping and cover crops over after seeding, spreading seed? Yeah, actually, I do. I got into that a couple years ago. You know, I watched a lot of guys working with this type of process, and a lot of them were actually going out there and drilling only and then crimping after drilling. And I never saw too many people trying it by hand broadcasting. So, and you got to do it a little different. You know, a lot of times you can get out there, if you're using a no-till drill, you can no-till drill it right through all that stuff. I like doing mine with cereal rye. Like I told you, I plant a lot of cereal rye. So in the spring, it comes back up for 3 to 4 months and dies off. You no-till drill right through it. Then you can actually spray your herbicide over top of it and crimp it. Now, when you're doing a broadcast, as in hand broadcast, you do not want to spray that herbicide, your Roundup or nothing like that, on them seeds because they're on top of the ground, they're exposed. You do not want to do it. If you can drill them in, it's great. But I have done a lot of, especially with our honey hole, a lot of our small seed stuff. I do it with clover. I'll go in there, I'll broadcast it into it a little heavier rate than I normally would, depending on the thatch that's there. And then I actually use a crimper that goes on to my Packer Max Colipacker uh, that you can flip that Colipacker over onto that. That crimper will crimp that stuff down. It does very, very well. So, yes, I have done quite a bit of it. But again, the key thing is do not spray that herbicide over the top of it if you're hand broadcasting it in. You just, them seeds are a living organism and you'll kill that seed. Chris, yes, I actually do a surfactant with my clethodim. Now I do not with our Jolt or our Clover Fuel or our Plot Max if I'm spraying them separate. But anytime I'm spraying my cleth, my glyphosate, my Liberty, my 2,4-DB, anything like that, I am mixing a surfactant with it. And usually I use bean oil. I like bean oil a lot. If I don't have bean oil, I'll go buy a gallon of Dawn dish detergent, and Dawn dish detergent works just as well. I've used it for years. Brian Murray wishes he's going to Illinois Beer and Deer Fest. Man, I do too, bud. It's a great show. Great time. A lot of neat stuff going on there. Does it really surprise me that Scuba's on here giving Jeff Johnson salsa making lessons here? Huh. I'll tell you, Scuba. You just know it all, bud. Here's something I've done a lot of. Steven's asking, have you ever tried broadcasting brassica blend into standing beans right about now? Do you think that would work? I don't do it right now. I do not spray. I do not spread mine until them beans start to turn. When them beans start to turn and start to yellow, even though it's going to be late and you're not going to get the depending on the brassica you're talking about. Like our honey hole, we got turnips and rape in it, so I'm not going to get the turnips out of it, but I'm going to get all the big leafy coverage and all the big high energy food source. So I will go through my standing corn and my standing beans and broadcast right over to it. I actually got it now where I have a container that goes on top of my still leaf blower that I can stand out there and I just blow it all out in through there right before rain. Let that rain wash it off them plants and down on the soil, and you'll have a great amount of growth. Um, and the good thing about it is when the farmer goes through there and combines, the only thing you're really going to tear up is just the tire track areas. The rest of it is just a green, beautiful carpet underneath of it, and it grows up very, very well. But I like waiting for mine to actually yellow a little bit. So I'm usually in there. It's closer into that, in that October, close to October time. Now, for the guys up north, you get a lot quicker than that. With it being green, and it usually has a lot. It shades it out too much and doesn't let the sunlight get to it. So when it starts drying up and yellowing, you start getting that sun peeking through. It helps out a lot better. All right, let me see what I'm missing here. But going back to the maintenance part, we don't need any maintenance, as in mowing, anything like that. Our no sweat, our no till mix, that one there, you can actually, if you plant it too early, and a lot of guys are wanting to plant it early in the spring, uh, late spring. I like doing mine for a fall planting only when I'm on that area. But you can actually go through there if that rye that's in there. That rye is going to grow up taller than your brassicas and stuff that are in that mix. You can go through there and mow that, clip it down, knock it down to 3, 4, 5 inches tall, and just keep that growth coming, and keep it in that tender, more palatable stage. So you can do it with that one. Other than that, you don't want to with any of the other ones. See what I'm missing here, guys. Scooby, you got that right. You sure you're cooking with us? Heck yes. I can't wait for another breakfast casserole at a show. I'm going to invite you to every show this year. I'll put you in a hotel if you cook breakfast. I'll even put you in a hotel that has an oven in it. None of this microwave crap. You're getting an oven. All right, what other kind of questions we got out there, guys? We pretty much went through the maintenance part. We went through what to plant later than your normal brassica plant. And again, that fall, winter, spring, guys, I'm telling you right now, that fall, winter, spring, with that cereal rye, a lot of people don't know, bouncing back to it. That has such a long root system to it. It's actually helping that soil. It's building that soil. Here's a little thing that I shouldn't even share this. I don't even know why I'm going to do it. I think Cole's right. Maybe I should start charging for this. For you guys planting brassicas, one of my favorite things to do, and it was done trial and error. We have 1 pound packs of cereal rye. I mix cereal rye with my barricade when I do my barricade strips, because that cereal rye will actually put nitrogen. It'll pull nitrogen from way down low up to the top. with that long root system. It's kind of like chicory. And I will plant it with my barricade, and it will help feed that barricade. And the first year I did it, I did a strip that was in front of a power line. It was on a power line blocking the road. And I personally went in and I just did half of that 10-foot strip, about 40 foot long, with cereal rye. The other one, I did not put any cereal rye with. And there was a 3-foot difference in barricade. That barricade on the one side, it was up almost 14 foot tall. So, I mean, it blew me away. So I do that every year now. I mix cereal rye with my barricade, and it is that nitrogen, you're feeding, I mean, that cereal rye is feeding that plant the nitrogen that it needs. Even though I'm putting nitrogen on it, it's putting even more on it. So that's just a little trick that I learned just by wondering if I should do it. I remember the day when I asked Todd Sittleberg, the founder, if he thinks it'd be a good idea or not. He said, I never thought about it, but he said, I can't see how it wouldn't help. And I tried it, and it's worked very, very well. Corey, barricade will not come up more than 1 year. It's an annual, bud. It's not a perennial. We used to have a perennial called Shielding Bedding. But right now, that $20 quarter acre bag of that annual, the reason we quit selling the perennial Shielding Bedding, because that would be about 150 bucks. And it was just something that just a few people would want. And we had it for many years, sold a lot of it until that seed started getting more expensive. And we said, we got to quit this. It's just people just weren't wanting to spend that kind of money. But now, if you had an area where you knew you wanted it every year and you was never going to change it, it's worth the extra money to buy a perennial. But if you're wanting like I am, when I'm changing it every year to funnel deer here and there through the fields and around, I just enjoy it. I can change it no matter what, and I'm not tearing up $300 worth of plants to do that. I appreciate that, Brian. So here's see what else we got here, guys. Chris, not sure if you called it maintenance, but the fertilizer application of urea or jolt when brassica plants maybe 4 inches tall, I found to be the key to kicking them in overdrive. You got that right, bud. If you're getting the moisture, you can't beat the urea or jolt. You got to have the jolt. I'm not worried about the moisture. The urea, I am. A lot of guys want to use urea, but they don't want to wait for the moisture. They throw it on there. It sits there. It burns up. Um, Another key thing too, when it comes to fertilizers, guys, that a lot of people don't realize, nitrogen fertilizer will evaporate. So when you go to an existing plot that's already growing, you can't work it into the soil. So you always want to put your fertilizer on right before a rain, or hope that rain's going to hit. You want it to push it into the soil, dissolve into the soil. If not, that stuff just sitting on top of that soil is evaporating. You're losing all that nitrogen by evaporation. So always do your nitrogen fertilizer right before a rain if you cannot work it into the soil. I see somebody says something up here, cooking with scuba. You got that right, scuba. Antler King cooking with scuba. That'd be at the next show I see. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a seminar set up here. It's not going to be only planting 7 easy steps of planting food plots that I do. It's going to be cooking with scuba along with it. Actually, I think scuba should cook for the seminar. Then the people can actually eat the Antler King cooking with scuba as they're listening to me talk about planting food plots. I can see it coming up. I can see it going on good right now. I can see it happening. All right, guys, what else you got there? Jeff, you're talking about a problem with that a lot of people's having I've personally seen it happen to a buddy of mine's farm. Uh, I got a 7 foot wide strip of barricade around his plot. Some of it's 2 foot tall, some of it's 7 foot tall. The same plot. Will cereal rye help it? Cereal rye would definitely help it with the nitrogen. But here's something we have noticed. The same guy I was talking about earlier, Timmy Lambert, a good friend of mine. He has a spot on his farm that we have tried barricade 3 years in a row, and it will not grow over about 2 foot tall. Same amount of fertilizer, everything, and the rest of it. Now this year, he's got the same 2 foot strip in front of his blind. It will not get any higher than 2 foot tall. Everything else is 10 to 12 foot. It does it every year. Something in that soil is not allowing that. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out, and I need to figure it out. But I've seen that. Now, usually, a lot of people have a lot less growth if they're closer to trees because the trees suck all the moisture out of the ground. So you're always, the closer you get to trees, you'll start seeing it taper down as it comes to the trees. But just out, his is out in the wide open on this 7 acre field. And that one strip there, about 60 foot long, will not allow it to grow over 2 foot tall. And we cannot figure it out. And with the rest of it, 12 foot. It's crazy. Make sure I didn't miss somebody here. If I did, I apologize. I will say though, with barricade, really watch getting that planted too deep. You do not want to get that planted too deep. Like anything, you don't want to plant any of it too deep. But barricade, a lot of people seem to want to plant it deeper or drag a harrow across it, something like that. Man, this call the Packers a man's best friend when it comes to all these seeds. So I'd rather see you roll it with a yard roller than to run a harrow over top of it. No, looks like we're good here. Looks like I caught them all there. A lot of times I miss a bunch of them. And I notice it after I get off there. Brian, you got a spot where you can't get anything to grow? I've seen it. Like I said, just talking about Jeff's stuff. I see Jeff replied to you. Yeah, soil test is done. My buddy's is done. It's he's running a 6.8. It's crazy. I know Jeff's running soil test, and it's something to do with the soil. And I need to get somebody a lot smarter than me in there to take a look because I know even if you look at a lot of places, let's say honey hole. Honey holes are number one. You cannot beat honey hole, but I have a property that I can plant honey hole in, and the deer will walk through it 3 years in a row and not touch it. 10 miles down the road, I cannot plant enough of it. It's to do with the soil. The soil will not allow that plant to turn that starch to sugar and get it as sweet as it can. It grows up beautifully. Beautiful turnips, beautiful greens. Can't ask for better. They will not eat a brassica. They won't eat a radish. They won't eat a turnip. They won't eat a sugar beet out of it. And 10 miles down the road, they will wipe them out. And I know it has a lot to do with this growing here too. Something has to be in that soil that is affecting the growth of that plant. So need to get somebody a lot smarter than I am. Brian, you got that right. Yep. Dump something in there. Something they shouldn't have dumped in there. You're right, Jeff. When you're dragging seed in, it's always best if you're using a harrow. Flatten that harrow over. You want to flatten them down. You don't want to run them straight. Exactly, Scuba. Yeah, them trees will suck that moisture out of that ground. You got to think that root system. That root system is a quarter mile long on some of the big old oaks and everything. So it's you lose a lot even with your food plots, not only barricade, but even food plots. You'll notice a lot of people think it's shade, and shade will affect it some, and you will see a lighter growth in a food plot next to a field edge, but a lot of it has to do with moisture, where them trees are just sucking it out. Chris Ashley, do you like to include trophy clover with honey hole or wait and frost seed clover in the early spring? I always seed into the spring, bud, on my clovers. I never put clover in with any of my annuals. There's nothing wrong with it. You'll lose a little bit of germination, not much, but I never put it in the fall. I always do spring. All right, guys, we got a couple minutes here where we're going to kick us off here. Got anything else? Let me know. All right, I got a question for all you guys. We're going to be in this show in September because the season's going to be starting. A lot of places, the season's going to start in September, but with me and other guys here, we're going to be starting in October. Um, what special guest would you like to see? Would you like me to get Kip Campbell to jump on here? I can even try to beg Don Kiske to jump on, Kyle Weeder, David Holder, Warren Holder. Who would you guys like to see on here? I can even get the guys from Backwoods Life on here again. Who would you like to see? Don't all of you jump on here at once. Now, come on. Why wait much longer? It's going to be hard to get these guys because we're going to be hunting. Chris Ashley saying Don Kiske. Hopefully, Candy's watching this so she can let Don know that I'm going to be calling him. And I know how Don just really loves these kind of things, but I think I can talk him into it. Old Anthony, buddy, it's good to see you on here, man. We got Kip and the Kiskies going on right now. Oh, now we got a funny one on here saying Lee Lukowski. Maybe 20 years ago. Looks like most of it's Don Kiske. Candy, if you're on here, let Don know I'll be calling him. He won't answer the phone now. He just sent me a bunch of good videos, too, of him planting. Now I'm going to upset him, tell him I want him on a podcast. Oh, here we go. Scuba, you want Brantley on here? Heck yeah. Man, you talking about some good-looking barricade. You should see Brantley Gilbert's barricade. Holy cow, I got them pictures sent to me the other day. Man, it looks awesome down there in the south. He didn't say, but it has to be 14 foot tall. I don't know if I can show you guys that on here or not. Let me see here. Talking about a good looking barricade. Where's it at? Where's it at? It's a video on here. I don't know if I can do this or not. Let's try it, guys. See if you guys can see that. Oh, you're not going to be able to see it. There you go. That is some awesome looking barricade. I know you probably couldn't see it very well. I wish I'd have added that to here, but never thought about it. Very good looking. All right, so we got Don and Kip here. Huh. That might be a pretty good combo. See what we got in. Yeah, I see Warren's engaged. Oh, yeah, he's done. Well, I can't say he's done hunting because she hunts as much as he does, so he's just a lucky one. All right, guys, I got 1 minute here. They're going to shut me off of here. So I appreciate you guys being on here. We'll be back on here in a couple weeks. You'll know the day of who I'm going to have on here with me, and I will. I'll see what I can get done here. I gotta. Looks like a lot of you guys are pushing towards dawn, so I got my work cut out for me. So, but we'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you jumping on here again. You need anything, call me, guys. Call me, email me, text me, whatever you want to do. Let me know. So, you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.